Hello, everyone. This is Stephen P. New, professional wrestling's best lawyer. And I'm coming to you this evening from Morgantown, West Virginia. I've had a successful day in court today. And beginning last night, the world of professional wrestling was shocked, mortified by the actions of one Devon Nicholson in a wrestling ring in Irving, Texas, in an incident involving a referee. I immediately started getting tagged on social media, asked about my thoughts, and after about 24 hours, I formulated some thoughts as a 40-year professional wrestling fan and an attorney practicing for over 23 years. For starters, let me say that my heart goes out to Lando Del Toro, the referee involved in this horrible spot, and I wish you nothing but a speedy and great recovery and a return to the ring on your own terms. Last night when I was tagged by some individuals on Twitter, I decided that I would let this simmer for about 24 hours, gather some information, and then give my opinion about what happened. And based on my research today, what I can tell you is that I hope that Mr. Del Toro and the authorities down there in Texas decide to move forward with Mr. Nicholson. And if he is not a resident and a citizen of the United States of America, I hope that his passport gets barred. I hope that immigration services get involved and that whatever work visa allows him to come to the United States gets revoked by the federal authorities. What happened in that wrestling ring for world-class pro wrestling should never happen. Now, I've never been a wrestler. I'm nothing but a fan of the sport of professional wrestling. But as a fan, a lifelong fan, and a person who sponsors a lot, I've heard wrestlers tell me that trust is the number one thing. That you have to trust that that guy or that gal that you're in the ring with has you. That they aren't going to take liberties with your body. And that it's a trust that we fans really don't understand from the outside looking in. And so what? This was a work where the referee was supposed to bleed. Mr. Nicholson, I've seen your response tonight. And I think it's garbage, these excuses you're offering up now. Oh, well, the mask has mesh in it, and I couldn't see. If you can't see the angle that you're trying to carry out, stop doing it. Oh, I thought I was hitting the back of my hand with the gimmick spike. I've been watching spikes for 35 years. I watched Kevin Sullivan spike Dusty Rhodes and others when he was the Prince of Darkness in Florida. I watched the Road Warriors take the spike off the shoulder pads and spike Dusty Rhodes, leading to Dusty Rhodes' departure from World Championship Wrestling. And as late as a year or two ago, Chris Jericho started doing the spike jacket angle and using that. He's a professional. He knows what he's doing. So, Mr. Nicholson, if you didn't know what you were doing, if you couldn't see what you were doing to this referee, you should have stopped. And that's where you cross the line. That's where a wrestling spot turns into assault with a deadly weapon under the Texas Penal Code. Assault with a deadly weapon. it would be called unlawful assault in West Virginia. But when a person in Texas assaults someone with a deadly weapon, leaving them with serious bodily injury, they can be guilty of a felony, 2 to 20 in the Texas prison system. That's a very serious crime. And the one thing that you said in your response video to TMZ this evening, I hope world-class pro wrestling has insurance to cover the medical bills. Yeah, I hope world-class pro wrestling has insurance as well, because they need to be reaching out to Mr. Del Toro right now, saying what can we do and what can our insurance do to make this claim go away. It shouldn't have to go through years' worth of protracted, drawn-out litigation. It should be resolved quickly, because an agent of world-class pro wrestling took liberties with a wrestling referee that he never should have. And there didn't appear to be anybody else down there at ringside running this angle. 17 scars on Mr. Del Toro's head. That is unacceptable when that man placed his welfare in Nicholson's hands. Nicholson took liberties that he shouldn't have taken. World-class pro wrestling has exposure, and Devon Nicholson has criminal and civil legal exposure. We watch this sport to be entertained. This sport is not so that a guy like Devon Nicholson can come to the ring in a persona called the Blood Hunter and then do whatever the hell he wants to do to someone else and permanently scar and injure that person, and then call that professional wrestling. That's not professional wrestling. You don't deserve the title of professional wrestler because you're not a professional. And that status should be stripped from you, Mr. Nicholson. So I hope here that Mr. Del Toro calls the biggest and baddest personal injury lawyer in the state of Texas, Lisa Blue Barron, Mark Lanier, or Jim the Hammer Adler. And that I hope he gets his justice. Because ultimately, in the courtroom, most times, the good guy wins.